Okay, so this is going to be a quick tutorial on how to make a 3D object into a 2D one, exporting it into an SVG. So you can create a DXF file and do a laser cut or what have you. The first thing you want to make sure to do is check the version of the Blender, your Blender that you're using. So 2.76 and above works just fine for this. Right now I'm using 2.77. Next thing you want to do is make sure that you have this render freestyle SVG exporter selected on in the add-ons tab under user preferences. Once you have that selected on, you're set to import your 3D object. So let's import an STL. Now this is a little too big. What I do is just scale it, press S, and just scale it down. Now what I would do is press numpad 7 to get to the top view. Press Control Alt numpad 0 if you have a camera. Make sure you have a camera. By default you should, so it doesn't really matter. But Control Alt 0 so you have your camera view from the top down, and everything's all set. Everything's all squared away. So now what you want to do is make sure that you have Freestyle selected on right here in the Render tab. So you scroll down, you have Freestyle selected on. This will give you some basic options like line thickness. So, and also you have extra options here under the render layers. There should be a freestyle setting right here. Once you get into here, what you want to do is select contour. Now that's if you want to have the edges, just the edges of this 3D object rather than different aspects of it. You can play around with this to get different aspects like the silhouette, which will get you the creases as well as all the edges and the borders. There's a bunch of different little things that you can play around with. The creasing will also be interesting if you wanted that, but let's just have the contour, just the edge. Now what you want to do is go back to the render tab right here and set your output. I'm going to just set it to desktop right now because I'm lazy, and I'll do it as a Phoenix. Now, scroll down, go into your Freestyle SVG export, check it. Now, whenever you render, press F12 to render. You will just get a basic render, but the outline you can't see it right now. But the outline on this will be the SVG that we want. Now, if you go into your desktop or wherever you saved your render file from, you'll notice that you have an SVG. This will open it up in Inkscape, but you can open it up in Chrome or Adobe Illustrator. There it is. So there's your SVG. So this works for Blender Render or Cycles Render, whatever render engine you want. The internal works just fine, especially since this. I would suggest if you're doing just for the SVG, use the Blender internal because it's just easier to render this out. Yeah. So if you wanted to play around with some of the styles, you'd have the Freestyle line style here under the Render Layers tab. You'll have different line style kind of things, like if you want dashed lines, you could set the dashing here. So if you want to do like 10, you'd have like a line of 10 points or what have you, and then you'd have a spacing of 2 points. And you can do like the second dash. So if you want variable dashes, you can do that there too. I can render that out for you right now. And so you'll have something like this instead, where you have all the dashes. That should be it. Hope this helps.